Hello everyone. Welcome to Stoic Wisdom today. Not all weakness is loud. It doesn't always show up as failure or collapse. Sometimes weakness comes quietly, in comfort, in distraction, in habits that feel normal but slowly erode your strength. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, understood this deeply. They warned that the real danger isn't what shocks you, it's what lulls you to sleep. Today we'll look at 5 silent habits that may be making you weaker. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. These aren't dramatic, they're invisible, and that's what makes them so dangerous. If you can recognize them, you can remove them, and rebuild the kind of inner strength the Stoics lived by. Let's begin. Habit 1. Comfort addiction, the quiet enemy of strength. Comfort feels harmless. Soft beds, warm meals, endless scroll, a little reward. But the Stoics saw comfort for what it really is, a subtle form of decay. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you must build up your life action by action. But when comfort becomes the default, action fades. You sleep in longer, you skip the workout, you delay the difficult conversation. Not because you're incapable, but because you've trained your mind to crave softness. The problem isn't rest, it's dependence. Every time you choose ease over effort, you surrender a little bit of strength, and slowly, without noticing, you become someone you no longer recognize. Mental toughness isn't built during relaxation, it's forged in resistance. That's why the Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, cold baths, fasting, silence, simplicity, not to suffer, but to remember that they were stronger than their cravings. You don't have to reject all comfort, but you do have to question your relationship with it. Because if comfort controls you, discipline cannot. Habit 2. Overthinking without action. The trap of the mind. You think, then think again, then overthink and do nothing. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Overthinking feels productive, but it's often fear in disguise. The mind builds scenarios, doubts outcomes, and leaves you frozen. You analyze so much that you paralyze yourself. The Stoics weren't against thinking, they were against stagnation. Clarity comes from action, not endless planning. A disciplined mind knows this. One small step beats a perfect plan, every single time. So instead of asking, what if it fails, ask, what can I do in the next 5 minutes? Don't wait for confidence. Move, and confidence follows. Because action is how you escape the prison of thought. Habit 3. Needing validation. The ego's quiet addiction. We all want to be seen, to be appreciated, to feel valuable. But the danger lies in needing that approval. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If your strength depends on likes, applause, or praise, you're not in control. Others are. You perform, you adjust, you hide, not to grow, but to be accepted. And that's not discipline, that's ego in disguise. The Stoic path is different. You do what's right, even if no one claps, even if no one watches. Because your worth isn't measured in reaction. It's measured in consistency. Be kind without reward. Be disciplined without recognition. When you no longer need approval, you become unshakable. Habit 4. Reacting emotionally. Giving away your power. Someone cuts you off. Someone insults you. Your plans fall apart. You explode. You shut down. You spiral. That reaction, that's the danger. Epictetus warned, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. When you react without pause, you hand over your power. The Stoic teaches, emotions are natural, but acting on them blindly is weakness. A disciplined mind doesn't suppress feelings, it examines them. When you feel anger, pause, 3 breaths. Ask, is this under my control? Most of the time, it isn't. So don't act from impulse, act from clarity. Emotional self-control isn't about being cold. It's about staying composed when the world isn't. Power belongs to those who remain calm, especially when chaos calls. Habit 5. Avoiding solitude, escaping yourself. You scroll, you refresh, you distract. Silence makes you anxious. Stillness feels empty. But the Stoics sought solitude daily, not to escape others but to return to themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter retreat than in his own soul." When you avoid being alone, you avoid the mirror, and that mirror shows you what needs work. Without solitude, there's no reflection. Without reflection, there's no growth. Mental strength is forged in silence, in asking, what did I do today? What can I improve? Who am I becoming? It only takes 10 minutes, a walk without music, a journal with no audience, a moment with no noise, not to isolate, but to realign. Because if you always run from silence, you'll never hear the voice that matters most, your own. Conclusion: the Stoic way back to strength. But you don't have to listen. Weakness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, just skip today. Let them praise you. React now, think later, rest a bit longer. Don't sit with your thoughts. But you don't have to listen. The Stoics didn't wait for perfect conditions. They trained in hardship, they faced discomfort, they reclaimed their mind, one decision at a time. Discipline isn't built overnight. It's built when you say, I will choose what's right, even if no one sees it. So ask yourself, which habit do I need to confront? And which strength have I forgotten I can still build? Because you weren't born to remain soft. You were born to become solid, steady, strong. If this message brought clarity to your day, leave a comment, give this video a like, and subscribe to Stoic Wisdom today for more quiet strength every single week. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay grounded, stay stoic.